Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 144 of Sold with Updike Pugh.
I'm Jeff Updike.
I'm Weston Pugh, and we've got a great show in order today. We're going to do some amazing homes in North Oak Cliff that you'll really want to check them out. Amazingly, they're both new construction. I didn't know that when I went and looked at the one on Edgefield, but I was really surprised. So you want to watch that. In the second half, we're going to take and do a little dive into a case study that was done by Bright MLS.
Bright MLS, one of the largest MLS in the country.
Which is amazing. I did not know that an MLS could get that big. Our MLS is, what is it, 27,000?
Oh no, it's much bigger than that now
Is it
because
now?
we've got Northwest Louisiana Association of Realtors, who's also a member of our MLS. We have Abilene. We have, I believe, Wichita Falls, or at least up in that part of the state. So I mean, it's grown tremendously from when it first started.
That's interesting. Well, Bright actually has 95,000 people in their MLS, which is an enormous MLS. Those have got to be huge to service.
Yeah,
Well, how was your weekend?
it was good. It was good.
Did you do anything interesting?
Let's see. Went to Columbia.
Columbia.
Yeah, I left last Thursday morning at 5 a.m. on a 5 a.m. flight. Yeah, and then I got back this morning at 2:30.
So we had a contingency plan for you. I had taken Zach, our marketing guy, as he says on the newsletter, with us to tour, and he was ready to fill in because who knows, given the way that flight status has happened these days, I didn't know if Jeff was even going to get on a plane, and then God forbid, COVID test not come back right. And so we were ready for the contingency. Zach, we really appreciate that. Thanks for being there for us, bud. It was good.
Always, thank you.
Yeah. Other than that, I think it's been amazing. I can't believe it's August 11th. Inventory has slowed down a little bit.
It has. It normally does this time of year.
It
I'm
does.
wondering if we're beginning to see the slowing of the market from all the appreciation over the last several years, or if it's just the seasonal thing we do.
It is a seasonal thing, and I think maybe it's probably a little more exaggerated because we already are in a little bit of a deficiency, and so every little tick down kind of feels a little more exaggerated. We did see an uptick from last week to this week in new home listings, up about 100, 150. Back on the market. That's always interesting to me in this market. And here we're a little bit less than 600.
Price decreases. We had about 1,450 price decreases in the last week. 308 that had a price increase. There were about the same number with 2,167 that went under contract into the option period, and then a few or more that came out of the option period into that little, contingent contract status. And then a few more, or a few less last week that went pending. The sold number went down quite significantly, but again, that is reflective of many people closed their transactions at the end of the calendar month.
Right.
And then coming soon, with a few less of those with 382.
So overall, there's not a big shift in what happened last week versus this week. And overall, I can say if we look back over the last 2 or 3 months that we've been doing this market snapshot, it really hasn't changed, kind of steady as she goes. But we are seeing that it's just a little tighter right now. One of the things that we've seen is some clients, as they can't find what they're looking for to purchase, have been moving into the rental market. And that doesn't even seem to be just with our clients, but it seems to be pretty much something that we're seeing across the board. And right now that has made the leasing market also tighten up.
It really has. We've got several people that are selling their homes and moving into a lease property for a variety of reasons, and finding leases that match their needs. And they're not unrealistic in what they're expecting. It's just finding it right now is a little tough.
And I would say that it would be one thing if we were only focusing on an uptown market, if we were only looking at a specific condo, but we have them that are actually going pretty much across the MLS right now, and everything seems to tick out. If you think that you can wait much more than 48 hours sometimes to get an app in, it can get a little tight.
It does. It does.
So, well, great start off for the week. We are excited about it. This weekend, it looks like it's going to be busy as well now that Jeff's back. So maybe I'll take it.
Yeah, and we're only like 42 days away from the state fair of Texas starting.
It will be interesting to see how that plays itself out, won't it?
It really will.
We will be on bated breath to see how
Right.
all of this happens.
Thank God most of it's outside.
Yes. All right.
So let's talk about our homes.
All right. So the first one we're going to talk about is 932 Sunset Avenue. This is a really great property. It is a half duplex, and the way that this has been constructed, there's actually 4 of these. But before we dive all the way into that, let's take a look and see what's going on in Winnetka Heights and that area of the world.
Yeah, this is just outside Winnetka Heights, kind of between Bishop Arts and Winnetka Heights, in a great little up-and-coming area. There is still really good access from this area. A lot of people think Oak Cliff creates some challenges to getting back into downtown, but it really doesn't. The Interstate 35 is being reconstructed right through there, where they're doing that big deck park that's similar to Clyde Warren Park over by the zoo. And that's created a little bit of a bottleneck there, but there are lots of other great streets that get you into downtown. We were talking about restaurants last week. Some of my favorite restaurants are down there. Norma's Cafe, that's been around for eons. I think it's been open down there for 60 or 70 years, if I'm not mistaken. One of my favorite little taco stands that we stop and have lunch at every once in a while is called Taqueria Il CI.
Gotta have cash.
Gotta have cash.
Don't come out with a check.
But those are some of the best street tacos that I've ever had.
Well, I'm going to be at Norma's tonight. Over there. Is it Norma's? Is that the Mediterranean place? Jeff,
No.
I'm getting messed up.
No, Norma's is the
It's
old
Nora's.
style.
Norma,
Yeah.
the M
Yeah.
means it's a diner. No M, it's the Mediterranean restaurant. So that's where I'm headed tonight. And it's a great place. It started over there on Lowest, Greenville, and it has moved over into the Bishop Art District. It's wonderful.
A couple of other things just about this area before we jump into the house is that, a lot of the history of Dallas is centered around the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and Oak Cliff is where Lee Harvey Oswald lived at the time. So his boarding house is only 3 or 4 blocks from this.
There's still a sign there.
Yes, there is. And the Texas Theater, where he was captured, is also there. They still have the seat marked off. That's on Jefferson. So that's 2 or 3 blocks away. And the J.D. Tippit Memorial, he was the police officer that was shot by Lee Harvey Oswald over by the high school there. And they have a memorial put up in his honor right there where he was found.
Look at Jeff. Look at this. And there's a really good pinata store as well if you want the really important stuff. So, just kidding. But they are some funny ones. All right, let's jump into this. So this is 932 Sunset. And this is A, but you also have B, C, and D available. And as you can see here, they have that modern design. They've done a really good job of blending the materials. I really like the way they've contrasted the dark gray exterior with the wood. And then if you also look, they've also done it around the front door and the back of the decking area.
I really like the knotty pine that they brought in to use on this, because it really gives a great contrast between the metal and the stucco. Just gives it, it kind of still has that urban vibe to it.
And you can see here, they've done a really strong nod to the Scandinavian style with the dark colors of the cabinets and the front door, but then also working in the wood tones. You can't really tell it here, but this is not actually gray wood. This is actually cement floors that are really amazing, and they run throughout this first downstairs area.
And the kitchen is open to the living area, just like so many people really like. You have your dining room that's situated off to the left there. You do still have the coat closet, which, I'm still surprised we need here considering our short winters. But great kitchen, very open, LED lighting throughout. I love how they've used these circular lights over the dining room tables. Those make so much sense to me.
And that cabinets right there, those are actually used double as your pantry. And they've done a really good job of using the black matte faucet throughout. And I believe they also have black fans. So you kind of get this continuous black accessories on the door handles, on the hinges. It all kind of just works together. And they've also done a really good job with the windows. They have a lot of floor-to-ceiling windows throughout this house. One of the things that Zach commented about as we walked in, he's like, this house has a lot of great light, and it really does. And we find so many of the buyers today are just really drawn to these homes that have that natural feel to them.
And this is that quarter-size style backsplash in that downstairs bathroom that we don't see used very often, but really
It's done is nice.
it's done very, very well.
Yep, and so drifting upstairs, this is the first floor, and that's where everybody congregates for living. And upstairs is where we have the master. The master is at the front of the house. You can kind of see that window right there, and it reminds you of what it was on the front. It's really great, high ceilings. And they did a great job with the bathroom as well. They didn't drop off at all.
Floating vanities, double sink. I love how they've gone back to having all of the wet area in the wet area.
I do too.
It really helps long-term just from not having multiple wet areas in one bathroom where you have pan failure and leaks and things like that.
And again, we're going to see that we're getting that continuous look in the accessories. So we've got the black mirror, we've got the black faucets here as well, black handles on the actual cabinetry as well. This closet is a 3-story closet, basically. Really great space. Zach was like, wow, this is a really good space. And, you know, you're going to need to invest in a little hanger to get up to the top.
And I love the outdoor space that they've included with this. It's covered. Again, you've got the knotty pine that's brought into it that gives it a really super warm feel. The windows that allow the light in, but they also kind of frame this. So you've got really good use of the space outside.
It's great indoor-outdoor space. It's into the master bedroom. It is really great. Now, if we step just down the hall from the master, this is where we go into the second bedroom or second bathroom. One of the great things about this bathroom is that it has dual sinks, and they also had raised the faucets up, and they come out of the wall, which is more of a high-end look that we typically don't see at this price point.
And both of these bedrooms are really generous sizes. They've got super light, bright. If this were a roommate situation, it would work out really well. The configuration of it, I think, is great.
Yep. Here we have a little run for a dog, grill, whatever you need. You have 2 access points. One was going to be off of the living room, and the other one is going to be off of the garage. So it's really easy to get tools in and out, and it just makes that workflow really well. One of the great things about this, as you look, our common walls that we share with the neighbor behind us are at the back and at the garage. So that really does decrease the amount of noise.
So 932 Sunset Avenue, unit number A. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage, freshly built in 2021. It's about 2,100 square feet, and that is priced at $555, and that is $264 a square foot.
Yep. And we want to say thank you so much to Jeremy Whitaker for allowing us to feature that home. If you'd like more information about that home, just follow us on those links you'll see, or in our comments, and you'll see a link. Click on that. You'll get more information about the photos and about the property, and you'll be able to tour that map and get an idea of what some of the restaurants that Jeff and I were talking about.
Great property.
It was a great one.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Our next one today is at 822 South Edgefield Avenue, and this is also in North Oak Cliff. It's a 2018 build. This was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. It's about 1,700 square feet. And again, location is phenomenal on this. You've got really great access into downtown via Hampton Avenue over to Fort Worth Avenue, which comes right into downtown. You also have access to all of the restaurants that we talked about before. One of the places that I've been to one time and that you have been to, I think, one time, is the little dive bar down there called Barbara's Pavilion.
Oh, Barbara's. Barbara's will leave a mark on you. You need to be rude.
It will. The way they describe themselves is a modest, long-standing pub that draws patrons for beer, cocktails, and regular karaoke nights. That has trouble written all over
Trouble. It is. And I also think Kid Spring is just around the corner from here. And Jeff, before everything went kind of crazy, didn't the Dallas Orchestra or the Symphony, didn't they perform in Kid Spring? Wasn't that one of their things that they would do? It was a great draw for this area.
Yeah, I think I kind of remember what you're talking about. I know they've got a great community pool over there.
Yeah.
It's become more of a water park than a community pool, a splash park, which is, I think, even better.
One of the things that we didn't mention is this area also has access to the trolley around the corner. So this is really interesting that you're able to jump on the trolley and head into downtown, and then that trolley does connect up and take you into uptown. So it might be a really interesting crawl one Saturday night if you ever decide to do that.
You know, our friends group have been to Ten Bells Tavern several times. We've been to Local Oak several times. You know, you're right around the corner from Bishop Arts District again, where you've got Hunky's and the new restaurant called Paradiso that we've been to a couple of times. And have you ever eaten at Emporium Pies?
Okay, so I have stood in line for 45 minutes for that pie. You don't get to eat in there. That is a long time for that pie.
It really is. So lots of great restaurants, lots of great entertainment things to do right there in that neighborhood.
So, and if you're not from Dallas, but you're looking for a unique neighborhood, I always describe the Cliff in this area as like the closest thing that we have to Austin. So if that's your vibe and that's what you're looking for, this is kind of one of your go-tos.
Really is. So the house is, again, is a 2018 build. It's covered front porch. This is a craftsman style home that really blends into the area very well. Great use of the siding, the unstained wood, the concrete, the brick, just really melds all together.
Hands down, I was shocked when we walked into this house. I really thought we were doing a renovated house because I hadn't pulled all the data on it. And I just thought, well, that's a really good renovation. But as I got up to it, I realized this was new work construction, 2018. And it is a knocked out house. I would say from the front porch to the back door and the back deck, it is amazingly done. It is so well thought out.
And they really kept that craftsman feel with all of the bookcases that they've done in this, or the shelving they've done here. They have the raised windows, which is just exactly in that style. You'll notice the door trim and all of the floor trim stays with that style of architecture, and it continues throughout the rest of the home.
It was one of the biggest things that we pointed out when we walked, is that the trim above all the doors and the windows throughout the house stays. It's not just something that we see in the living areas. It is carried over into the bedrooms as well. When we were visiting with the homeowner, the only thing that they had updone was the actual tile around that fireplace. Otherwise, everything was as it came.
Interesting. I like how they've really used the darker colors with this, where they started on the outside and they brought that a little bit lighter tone into that living room, and then they've gone to a little bit lighter tone on the walls here in the kitchen. But it blends really well with the style of cabinetry that they've used. I do like the fact that they have kind of modernized and used the modernized hinges on these, where they're the disappearing hinges.
So this, to me, I love the oven because it's got the small oven with the gas on the top. It was spot on. There's a little coffee bar as well. And I love having a dining room that is kind of a pass-through dining room, so it doesn't have to be too dedicated. Plus, we all know that everyone always lands in the kitchen anyway, and this is a really good way to make the kitchen flow a lot better and have that entertaining aspect where it's not just everybody hanging around that island.
Yeah, it really is. And it's got a little mudroom as you come in from the detached two-car garage, which I think is just perfectly placed. You don't find that in a lot of these older homes.
Nope. Master bedroom is going to be located at the back of the house. Symmetrical windows on either side of the bed. I love that. I think that's really smart. When you walk in, the first thing you see is the foot of the bed. That is another element that I really enjoy. And as we pivot and walk into this master bathroom, you'll see Chip and Joanna would be so happy because we have wainscoting around that has a small little edge. And they've been able to use this also around the tub. As you can see, the water faucet is also in the wall right there. And I love that extra detail that they've thought of.
And once again, they've used the high up windows, which provide really good natural light, but they still give you the privacy that you want.
And if you're going into the utility room, fun tile is a great place to put it. Hanging area above the washer and dryer is also great. We're going to go back one more time and look at that, the master bathroom. You can see here you got a little chandelier, which is a very unique feature. And as we pivot into the master bathroom or closet, really great, symmetrical, two perfect sides, equal. No one has to fight over who gets more, and shelving right down the center.
And both of these ancillary bedrooms are also really good sized rooms. Again, they've carried all the trim work in. Obviously, with it being a 2018 build, you've got new windows. And once again, in the office area, they've used that darker color, which I think gives this it makes it a much more dramatic home.
Yep. And as you're going to see in the next picture, we're going to see how well that velvet green couch bounces off of that black wall. The white and the trim, the white and the door color, the light from the natural make this really a room that is warm, even though it is black.
And here's the hallway bath. They've used the wainscoting again, the white subway tile, the high up window, and then you've got really great outdoor space in this one.
They did a great job. So quickly look up there. You can see that the ceiling is in wood.
The beadboard.
It's great.
Keeps right in style.
It does. They actually added a little of the extra decking around here to make it their own. One of the things they've also done is strung the lights, but they've also carried the lights out to the trees to kind of draw your eye further out and really enjoy the entire backyard.
And I think this has about 250 square feet of decked space outside.
It's great. So if you've got pets or you need a jungle gym, you've got plenty of green space also for that. As you can see here, this kind of is one of the ways we want to show it. It also does have some lighting on the back fence, both for ambiance and for security. And as we turn back around, we want to give you a full view of what the back of the house looks like. One of the things you could, if you like, you could move the fence over and actually include the driveway in the backyard as well.
So 822 South Edgefield Avenue is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage built in 2018. It's about 1,780 square feet, priced at $525, and that brings this home in at $294.78 per square foot.
Yep.
And if you'd like to see any of the other pictures that we didn't get to include today, just click on the link below. If you'd like to see any of the other houses in the neighborhood, just let us know and we'd be happy to do that. And we will be right back. There are lots of ways to keep up with us. Visit and like our Facebook page to watch us live and get updates about future show topics. Also, visit our Instagram account where you can see the latest homes we have for sale. You can also check out our website at updikepugh.com where you can create customized searches of active and sold homes that you may find of interest. If you'd like to know how much your home is worth, visit homeprice.fyi and you can get a price instantly. Just enter your address and a couple of other pieces of information and we will email you a price. If you are on the go and podcasts are better for you, our second segments are available on iTunes and Spotify. Last of all, you can reach out to us by phone or text at 214-377-2223. And welcome back to the second segment of episode 144 of Sold with Updike Pugh. Before we go anywhere else, I want to go step back and mention Cynthia Payne-Drennan for allowing us to look at or to talk about her home. It was really an amazing home.
We just got so excited. We didn't know what to do. It is a really great home.
There was so much to talk about on that house. I had 6 bullet points I didn't even get to on that. So.
It is a great home, great area of Dallas as well. So yes, thank you so much, Cynthia.
So what are we going to talk about in our second segment?
So it's very interesting. So every week we get a thing from Chris Christie, who is the CEO of Ebby Holiday and
Chris Kelly.
Chris Kelly, thank you.
Not the former governor of New Jersey.
That's true. And he does what is called a roadmap. And
Real estate roadmap.
This week he talked a little bit about a case study that was done by a Bright MLS, and it talked about houses that were and houses that were not on MLS. And he just kind of briefly touched on it, but what he did was he provided a link to the entire study. And so it was so interesting that we thought, hey, let's take and kind of go through the study and then kind of bring out some of the information forward and kind of go over it because it is really critical right now to kind of talk about this.
Yes, so, and to kind of jump to the end, if you don't mind, it is highly more profitable to have your home listed with a realtor and put it in MLS.
And it's interesting. So I got a little skeptical because Texas is different. So when they were talking about so before we go all the way into that, the MLS stands for Multiple Listing Service. Mm-hmm. And so Bright is an MLS, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, is the largest MLS in the United States. Mm-hmm. And it services 3 major metro areas. And the metro areas are like Delaware, it's Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia, D.C., and West Virginia. And that's a lot of people. In fact, it's 95,000 members that they have.
A bunch.
It is a bunch. And this study that they did was a 2-year study. So it was from 2019 to 2020. And we're trying to lay the groundwork so you understand that this wasn't just a tiny little pie, a little sliver. It wasn't just 6 months. It is an actual 2-year time period.
And one of the other important things that I think to point out is that the markets that Bright MLS serves are public information areas where all of the sales are recorded in public records. In the state of Texas, we are one of, I think, 6 or 7 still non-disclosure states where sales prices are not a part of public record.
Which is why at first I was really interested to read the study because I was like, well, how are they getting the data? And then it dawned on me because we're Texas and we're so used to sold data not being published that I couldn't figure it out. Mm-hmm. So basically they have access to this. But to go back to like what were the parameters of this study, it was a large area over 2 years and it included all types of residential neighborhoods. Or property. So we're talking about condos, waterfront, mountains, suburban, urban. This is a really great mix because we want to see it from all different angles and find out if there's something that we're missing.
And one of the things that they did that I thought really made a lot of sense was they did filter some of the data out because the parts of it can be such anomalies in sales. Like new construction was filtered out, foreclosures were filtered out. odd square footages. What they did was took the outliers, square footage, lot size, price per square foot, and closed price, and they filtered 1.5% on each end off of the study.
Which is interesting because you and I do the same thing when we're pulling comps for our sellers. There are always those large outliers that somebody's going to pay more because they happen to live right next to their sister. And so they will pay absorbently more than any other buyer out there.
Yeah, and there were 440,000 sales used in this study.
Which I want to point out, that's huge.
That is huge. That is huge.
And that's what you want to see is a large case study, not just 200 people that participated.
75% of these were in MLS and 25% of the sales analyzed were not in MLS.
Correct.
Now, they could be listed with a realtor, but just not the owner, for whatever reason, decided they didn't want it in MLS.
Correct.
So these are not, 25% of them are not unrepresented. It's just 25% of them did not go into the MLS.
So 74% of that 440 represents roughly 327,000 homes were put into MLS versus the 115 that were sold for sale by owner or in some other manner, but not through the MLS. And that's where the data really begins to shift, is because there was a performance difference of almost 17%, with that 17% representing a higher sales price than were those that were listed or not listed with MLS. And so when we look at it from a median, that would be like us saying that if it went for MLS, it sold for 310, and if it didn't go in MLS and it was comparable, it would sell for 265,000.
And that's a huge difference.
Huge.
I mean, when you're talking about that much money in a seller's pocket.
It really is, because sellers are always thinking they're going to save on that money. But at the end of the day, as we'll kind of talk towards the end of the show, there's other factors that begin to play into that as well. When we also looked at the study, they broke it down just a little bit further as far as square footage. And this is where it really got a little bit shaky, is because if you think about a lot of for sale by owners, I really think that it's on the lower end of the size that tries to sell it. So homes that were between 1,250 up to 1,700 square feet, the difference between being sold on MLS versus off MLS was almost 27%.
Wow.
Which is
It's huge.
That's over a quarter of the sales price. A quarter. That is a lot of money.
So putting other benefits of putting your house into the MLS include access to vendors. You broaden the scope of the pool of buyers that you get to expose your home to,
100%,
which always makes sense. You also are allowing your agent to effectively negotiate on your behalf, because there are many times that we negotiate with multiple buyers, agents, and at the same time. And you don't get that many times if you're not in MLS and you don't have that broad exposure.
The other thing too is that negotiating is a skill set, and knowing how one portion of the contract can push the other portion of the contract and make it become a leveraging point is very unique. And if you're only selling a house every 8 years, you're not going to know the nuances and how the pressure points. And then lastly, I think timing is one of those things. Not understanding the timing can really be critical at what becomes an expense on your side versus what becomes an expense on the buyer side. And it can get expensive.
Absolutely.
So
if you'd like to have more information about the study, maybe there's a couple of data points that we didn't hit that you have interest in, just reach out to us, let us know. We'll be happy to provide the information for you and share with you what all we found about it.
Yep. So join us next Wednesday for another episode of Sold with Updike Pugh here on Facebook Live at noon, and also on our YouTube channel. And just remember, we want to be your realtors for life.